Are you vibing with this person? Do you want to spend time with this person? There's got to be a personality fit. It's like you have to, it's obviously got to be, close location. It's got to be convenient. It's got to have to be a nice studio, but you have to really enjoy the person you're working with. And I always think about some of my clients that come very consistently 3-4 times a week. It's like they see their significant other and then they see their trainer. Experience do they have? Have they only been in a big box gym? Have they only been in a training studio? Have they, been doing this for a year? Have they been doing this for 10 years? What experience do they have, not only in a professional setting, but also what kind of educational experience do they have? Do they have a kinesiology degree? Do they have these 5 certifications or whatever else? I think the certifications people get kind of wrapped up into, and there is some better certifications than other ones, but a lot of this industry, you learn a lot from just having that level of experience more than the certification. Kind of certifications you can get on your own. A NASM, National Academy of Sports Medicine, is a pretty good one. American Council on Exercise, ACE is the acronym, is another really great one. What is this person's training style? If there's somebody that's doing CrossFit, or there's somebody that's training geriatrics, or there's somebody that's just kind of doing a functional range sort of thing. And so if you can kind of see what kind of style they have and see if that fits with your goals, that would be something I would definitely ask. And on that note, the kind of second question to follow up with that is, if you could get a sample of the program that they would create for a new client. Are they able to change things on the fly if you come in with an injury, or you come in with a discomfort, or you're just really tired on your lower body from doing some leg stuff? Are they going to be able to kind of adapt the program for the day to kind of help with you? You could ask the direct question, how many different lunge options can you think of? How many different lunge sort of stuff? So I think you can ask the direct question, but I think the main thing that from a training perspective, the example that I like to think about is, if I go to see a masseuse, the first time I see them, it's going to be a very general massage. But if I go see a masseuse 3 times a week for a year, they're going to know my body just as well as I do. And I think the same thing is happening with personal training. It's like the first few workouts, it's more of the trainer and the client just trying to kind of get a feel for each other, trying to see where the strengths and weaknesses are. But just like, you come to see Pete 3 times a week for a year, he's going to know, especially if he's paying attention, where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are, what you like and what you dislike. And so I think as a trainer, there is a fine balance between giving the clients what they want and giving the clients what they need. And we never want to, as a trainer, project our image of health and fitness onto clients, because what I would do with you would probably be different than what I would do with my 93-year-old client. And so our job as a trainer is to get clients to the end result, which is whatever their goal is, in the most efficient, effective, and safe way possible. And so there's going to be some stuff where, we've got to do this. You might not like it, but I think there's many, many ways to do those sorts of things and have the client like it at the same time. It just takes a little bit of time for the trainer to develop, what the client preferences are. An infinite amount of core stabilization exercises. So even though the everyday might be a different exercise, it's still actually kind of the same thing. It's just a different form of core stabilization. So I think if you can find a good trainer and that has a variety of exercises in their repertoire, the program won't seem the same every time, even though it actually kind of is. So I think, once again, this is something that as a client, you should just think about what you enjoy doing. And if you're the type of person that just runs the same loop every day for your exercise, well, then maybe your deal is finding somebody that can kind of have a program that is very structured, that's kind of doing a lot of the same exercises, every other day. Whereas if you're somebody that's, used to running, that goes on different trails every day, you're probably going to want somebody that has a little bit more variety to their programming.
Yeah.
So, and once again, just like any service, it's a one-on-one service. So you're paying for this, and so you're the boss. It's like you've got to decide what works for you, and then be able to communicate that to the trainer, and then rely on their expertise to design a program and control the tempo, control the intensity, control the reps, the sets, the weights, record everything. And so then if you're away, you can easily get some programs to do when you're not at the gym. When I have a new client, I'm almost annoying in how many questions that I ask during the training session. How hard is this scale 1 to 5? How does this feel? Is this comfortable for you? And it just gives me kind of a background on where their strengths, where their weaknesses are. And so any information that clients can provide to trainers, even if they don't ask it because they just haven't been thinking about it, or maybe they're just, they don't know much about the pelvic floor or something like that. But any information that you can provide, if it is a good trainer, they're going to do their own research, they're going to find the answer, and they're going to figure out how to create the most developed program possible. Delayed onset muscle soreness.
Okay.
And for me personally, I get sore almost every single time I go to the gym. No matter what, I just get fatigued and sore, where there's other people that don't have that at all. So I think there's certain exercises that generally will make people more sore than not. I think pain during an exercise is something we definitely want to avoid. And so if that comes up, you as a client, you just got to be communicative about that. But I think you can't judge the effectiveness of a workout based off of how sore you are. Generally speaking, people that are new to strength training will be a little bit more sore in the beginning than people that are more experienced. But there's a lot that goes into it. I mean, hydration, electrolytes, what food you've had, what just type of body you have, what exercises you're doing, how new you are. There's just a lot that goes into it. So I always think it's a mistake for people to judge the effectiveness of a workout on how much they're sweating or how sore they are, because you can make a lot of progress with a different variety of workouts that might be perceived as easy. And so there's an aspect of coaching, of teaching people what it feels like to be at depth, or what it feels like to go all the way down, or what it feels like to do a correct push-up. And there's ways to progress that. So I think that there are common, learning how to do a proper barbell deadlift, some people pick it up really quickly, some people do not, but there's ways, if you're a good trainer, to structure the program and the exercise to kind of, progress people from a very basic point to a very advanced point. Bicep curl, for example. You're engaging your biceps anytime you're pulling something off of the ground, or you're doing any sort of pulling exercise. But if you've never done an exercise where you're specifically focusing on that muscle group, how would you know? So I think that's where the balance of training comes into play. There's some exercises that are very specific, very precise. You do, for example, you do a band walk. You got the little band around your knees, you take in side steps. You're just basically activating your medial glute. And so that's a very specific muscle that you're activating. Whereas if you did, a squat, for example, or a lunge, it's you're activating your entire leg, but it's hard to determine what, you just feel your leg. Whereas when you do the band walk, you can really feel it on the side of your hip there. So I think that would be an example of where both of the muscles are being activated for both of those exercises, but with the bands, it's very specific and it's very targeted. So I think that the targeting of specific muscles helps new clients experience activation of those muscles, if you will. And you got to make it fun, So I have got a TRX and I've got some fitness equipment at my house, and so there's an exercise called a thruster, where basically you squat. And then as you stand up, you push, dumbbells up in the air. So what I'll do is I'll hold my son or hold my daughter, and I'll do a thruster and I'll throw them up in the air. So it's I'm getting the exercise. I know what I'm doing. I know my form, and all they think is, oh man, I'm going to get thrown right now. This is great. So I think exposing children to the gym and exposing them to these exercises. And for example, I'll do a TRX pull up, and I'll just have my son hold my chest. And so it gives me weight, I've got an extra 40 pounds on me, so it's it adds the resistance, but it makes it fun for him. He sees his father and his mother working out. He sees us, playing the music, having a good time, and we're working out in a very structured way. They don't know that, but they see what we're doing, and they know what business we have. And so I think that it's a little bit easier for us to kind of expose our kids to that than somebody who might not do that. But just being able to have your kids see you exercise and see you make this a priority. Just like when I was a kid, my parents were big swimmers, and so I would always go to the swim meets. I'm always in the water with them. I'm always swimming with them. And then I started getting into water polo, and that was my sport growing up. But it was just because that's what my parents did. They swam, so I just swam, And so if I'm working out and I'm going to the gym and I'm just dragging my kids along, that's what we're doing, until you're 18. And so at some point they will see the benefits of it and how it translates into sports, and just feeling good mentally, physically, that sort of thing. So.
Awesome.